Hello everyone and welcome back once again to Gary Grigsby's Warn East. Let's continue and start up with the new airface here. I want to delete all of these, they're not needed. There we go. Let's start afresh because let's move these to Tallinn, which is slightly closer to Leningrad, and it's probably a safer area to fly, just in case they might have to bomb there. Not really sure. Besides that, I don't really want to do anything around Leningrad, so I'm kind of okay. The last turn's flying didn't really seem to have that much effect. I don't want to do any reconnaissance or move any of these for the moment. The only thing that I want to do is I want to start bombing near Sevastopol, so I'll go for Naval Patrol Directive down here. Oop. And I'll be using KG-27 and KG-2. Let's fly a little bit higher. Let's go at least for 15k and put strike number at 4, not at 2. Let's just see how that goes. Yeah. Every day. Yeah. I got it. Well, I know they're not yet isolated, but with a little bit of luck, once I take Yalta, this will then automatically mean that they will be isolated. I'll have to see. I'm not quite sure how much. They're not even flying now. It just kind of depends on the amount of air interdiction that will give me. Let's take a look. There we go. Map info, air interdiction. Yeah, so this should be isolated. I got 4 and 3. That worked quite well. So let's just see. So once I move, here. They're isolated. Okay, good. Yeah, that's just all that I wanted to check for the moment. Yeah, sure. So for now, I don't need to take any of these other hexes. In reality, I'd rather have them rest for a bit even. But let's make. Well, let's start working on the rail here first. So once again, I'll be focusing on the Crimea first. Okay, you cannot do anything there now. These this rail line is a piece of work. All right. I'll redirect the 1st Romanian Cavalry Brigade over to Feodosia. And the 7th Romanian Cavalry Brigade will endeavor to take Yalta, so I'll move them in that direction. Then over here, I want these guys to stay here and be on refit, because they're not gonna attack just about yet. You guys gonna go down, and they're gonna be put under 54th. And the same will happen for you guys. So can I already put them under the 54th? That's the question. Yeah. Okay, great. So I want a serious complement of German forces down there while these guys are currently recuperating and resting for a good amount of time. Okay. So you guys are gonna go straight for Kerch. And they made it. Now, ain't that just swell? A bunch of AA battalions also surrendering. And the Kurch Depot being under my control. Sweet. Let's put the HQ there for now. Yeah, alright. That's the Crimea for this turn. Sweet. Third Romanian Corps, however. Alright, I need one unit to go into this hex. It's a bit weird, but I also need to take this territory. And then I'll also use them to go and take stuff here for a bit. Man, that's a lot of movement. Yeah, let's go. At this point as well, I'm looking then to go and encircle Stalino. Given that, like, we know that they've retreated quite a bit, we can safely assume that this is part of their defensive line that probably runs either like this or like this, something along those lines, and we can use our units to figure out where they are. Like, the fact that these actually do secede to me does mean that I can keep going. The question though is, do I want to take these hexes or these hexes? What I do know is that if I don't have to cross the river there, I won't do it. These units are also deprived of pretty much anything here. This makes me get 3 hexes and this 2, so now I'll most certainly be moving in there. Yeah, so actually this puts them on 15. All right. Down here. I'll just get rid of those guys in one fell swoop. And to be honest, I actually don't want to go into the territory where... Yeah, let's cross the river though. Yeah, this is fine, never mind. The thing that I want to do is, at this point, I want to also take as much of this rail line as possible here. And I know I cannot cross, that much is certain, but if I move in here, I might be able to take Gorlovka. And no. Okay, fair enough. Let's at least work the rail up till here. There's actually something that I want to do, and I again kind of forgot to do that last turn. But yeah, you don't actually get that far. Okay, I'll use another car. What I want to do is I want to put all the additional rail units, such as this rat labor group, under one core, and I want to put this one core over here, so that all these rad labor groups, they're going to work on this rail line further down south, while I do have this forward rail unit over here. Now, for this turn is 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, build a depot, 1, 0. And the next turn they can get all the way up there. I'll be shocked if they didn't make it. But it would have been a possibility. Yeah, let's for now work on this rail line. So there and there, and then I will build a depot in that hex, and that's I can still move and get another hex here, which means that next turn I can get all the way up here. Okay, let's take a look at this core, because these light divisions, they're doing a little bit better, but to be honest, I would rather have them wait for another turn. So I will move you up, still to refit. They're still at 41. They are at 90, 89. Okay, so let's move these out. Probably... I'll see, actually. Okay, one thing that I think is important now is to start getting 1st Panzer back up over to this side. These battles are tough enough. Wow. Yeah, problematic that would be. So let's take not particularly impressed, but well, a tough call, I suppose. That's one, finally. Unbelievable. But it's time for them to move on, so. I'll probably split up the units and make sure that yeah, let's put you into the 44th here. and then they should be put under the 4th. There we go. Can't allow anything to happen to these guys. Attacking from across the river is not amazing, but well, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, and for these to get that rail line going in that direction, that's just what I have to do at this point. Okay, this is apparently their best shot. Still have the 59th. I should move you up in here. That takes Lopen, which is not super exciting. But that was never the goal. So as for this core, they will start moving in this direction, also taking territory as they go. And in this case, that also means that I'm better off just trying to move through there, through the south, since that is a little bit faster. I know this is empty, but I'm gonna take it with these tanks here. So that is the goal. Is that really the most amazing? No, but it's something. It's still a huge swath of territory. Okay. So what am I looking for? Well, for an encirclement of Kharkov, that is. Okay, well, the Leibstandard motorized brigade will get into Belgorod. I did talk about swinging these south, but that takes a while. The enemy is pretty dug in here as well. Look at them though. I can get these guys probably with the soft attack. Oh, I can't. Oh, I can. Oof. Okay. These will be tricky. Still made it. Okay, they had a bunch more units there than I expected. Again, 2 rifle and a tank division, huh? Yeah, there are a lot more units in here than I had expected initially. Let's still try to do this. Probably doesn't work. No. Held at quite a large range. No way to move, huh? I think this is this mountain unit is the last one. I don't think there are any units in that particular area, so that's okay. I'll have this one corps deal with that remaining lower area. Alright. Let's see. Man. Not gonna lie, that's a bit annoying. Okay, they surrendered. Then let's just do this. That gets rid of them. It also means once again that the infantry will be somewhat lagging. But cannot do a whole lot against that. In here, should be able to take them down. Certainly still doing a lot of heavy attacks in that area too. These guys are severely weakened, but it might also be because of the rain. And that rain is giving all sorts of problems. These guys should be, you know, taking care of this pocket. Whereas the units here should be moving forward. It's this motorized core, huh? So the cav is not that big of a deal. But So at the very least, Bryansk is encircled. And yeah, to be fair, I don't really want to wait another turn. If they retreat 1 hex, that'll be fine. I will leave them. No, they routed out. Well, that's fine. The reason why I'm so keen on taking this now is because this is a very tough territory to move through, and I just really want things to straighten out here. This entire line is such a mess at the moment, and I really need things to, you know, work out again. Which means also moving units from the 4th Army back up to the north, and units from the 2nd Army further down to the south. Yeah, but as I said, it's a big mess at that point here. You though need to move in such a way as to take most of these southern hexes. Makes sense. Because, like I already said, I want to move these forces further down to the south. Or at least try to get an encirclement of Kharkov here. Very nice. That way it will be all the more easier to take Kharkov later on. Okay. Now, I'm quite sure they have a unit in Kursk, otherwise I would have already taken these. The obvious problem here also being that this entire area down here is empty now. They do have some units here, but I have a suspicion that their main line is all the way to the back there, which is also a bit strange. Still, let's work on some realigns here. I'll deal with that depot in a bit, but I'm already happy to get a depot slightly closer to where the front line is there. Okay, that's fine. What? They have a unit there? Wow. Okay, yeah. Huh. Who would have guessed? Retreating again, eh? Bye. Okay. Moving through here is also going to be rough, obviously, given the situation. So, with that, I can now get these parts of the 6th Panzer Division out of there. Should already help some. I'm not going to get out of Tosno, but the fact that, you know, I've gotten closer to Leningrad here should already help a little bit. Okay. Take Schlesselburg. Oh. Wow. What? Well, sure. I guess I'll take it. That doesn't make my situation there easier. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that I actually turned the 4th Panzer Group into a regular army, or they are no longer in assault mode, so they can actually start building the fortification levels higher than level 1 as well, because if your unit is a assault unit, they cannot actually build very good fortification levels. Now, because I did take this here hex now, it means that these guys are, well, they're not necessarily going to be in trouble, but I cannot imagine that to be a very pleasant experience. At any rate, yeah, there's a bit of a problem with everything there. Anyway, you should be off of the train. And let's have Totenkopf actually go in here and refit there. Allow me to keep you guys on the train, get you off. And Now, let's start chugging third motorized down there. Once again. Again, this is tough for my rail units, but okay. To be fair, they've been pushed back quite a bit. I don't really care that much for that. The thing that I want to do here, or start doing, like this, is just no good. I want you in here, you in here, and you in here. That area. And let's give those construction battalions to these, if I can. No, not like that. So ideally, let's do that. This is also light woods, so it's not that defendable. What is quite defendable? Oh, it's a level 2 fort. Jeez, no, I'm not gonna be able to break that. You see, if I were to be able to take this hex, let's actually just see what the AI would do if I move into these. It says heavy woods too. Because this is not good for defending. It's a rough hex. How about this? Rough and clear. If I can get the Soviets off of these two hexes, I have a pretty decent defensive line. Then they would still need to get beaten off of that. This would then be the linchpin. So you guys would already need a fortification unit in there too. It's gonna be a bitch to get supplies in there though. Okay. Let's just keep you there, unfortunately. But at least those tanks have been dealt with. Let's draw you up. View and Regev for the moment. But it does free up this unit and the Lair Motorized Brigade. So I do have some leeway there. Still not too happy about these. I definitely need another infantry, but the same applies up there. Now, I actually do not want to cross the river. I just want these guys to go and start digging in as much as possible. While the 18th Army is storming that. Now, in all honesty, I'm not so sure whether I can actually even miss the 251st in that region. But let's go. Nothing I can do for now, I think. Man. How useful is it for you to move? Not particularly. Yeah, I'll just have these guys rest for another turn. And the Italians can move up here. Without anything too crazy going on. It just means they will not be moving through untaken territory. They'll... the Solera cannot move any further either way. We'll need a depot in there. Okay, I also think it's time to start moving the Romanians further south, but okay, so you're not taking any hexes. I'll just leave them there for the moment while I want to at least somewhat cover this flank too. It's not amazing, but should work at least a little bit. You're severely overburdened, whereas you are not, but oh wow, I completely missed this unit. Let's put you on refit there. Just really depends as well on how far the AI will allow me to move at this stage. Let's just make sure you're across the river. Might not seem like the most amazing, but it's not too bad, I think. So you guys just refitting. Croatian reinforcements. Well, let's have you on refit out there too. I'll probably put them under the 6th Army. But they're just kind of busy still, so. Right, so now I want the Romanians to start heading down south. But let's have them support in an attack on Kharkov first. Let's take these objectives so we don't have to walk through them afterwards. And there we go. Also, because my ultimate goal for this area is to reach the Osk goal and then start digging in, so we're quite close to that. That's good. So I'm quite pleased at that. Of course, I do need the remainder of the 6th Army to move there. We'll have these divisions. I'll get quite close to Kharkov soon as well. All right. Let's separate these and start taking some of those hexes. Get you into to Chernobyl. So with that, they can hopefully move quite quickly afterwards and be quite fine. It's not too useful to try and take that territory now. In fact, the okay, Yuknov is empty. Well, that somewhat makes sense, I suppose, at this point. Let's actually see what's in here. If it's just a regular infantry. So, there is a unit at Kaluga. That much is certain. One thing that I'm actually curious about is the reinforcement. So last turn I put all of these into the Axis reserves. I'm getting the blue infantry division. It's on the map somewhere now. Let's take a look. Where did they drop? In Warsaw. Yeah, let's actually read that. The 250 Infantry Division consisted of Spanish soldiers who volunteered to fight for Germany against the communists. It was 14,000 strong when it was mustered in at the Grafenwöhr troop maneuver area in July the 20th, 1941. Quickly sent into action at Novgorod on the northern sector of the Russian front, the so-called Blue Division fought very well in all of its engagements. In the Novgorod, Leningrad, Lake Ilmen battles of late 1941, early 1942, the Spanish fascist volunteers played a major role in turning back the Russian winter offensive in the northern sector, but lost 8,000 men killed, wounded, captured, or incapacitated by frostbite. After receiving replacements from Spain, it continued in action, with Army Group North fought at Volkov and lost another 3,200 men in the Second Battle of Lake Ladoga in January and February 1943. Here, its Fusilier Battalion lost 90% of its soldiers, but the division again held its positions against massive Soviet attacks. The 250th continued to serve in northern Russia and in the siege of Leningrad until October 1943. That time, Spanish dictator Francisco Franco requested that the division be returned to Spain. However, about half of its veteran warriors volunteered into service in the Waffen-SS and continued to fight against the Russians until the end of the war. The Blue Division was officially disbanded on October the 20th, 1943. Well, I mean, I guess that means that they should be in Army Group North. I know it sounds weird to just get a unit out and transport another unit in, but the Blue Division should belong there, so I guess it makes sense to put them there at least. That's how I feel about it. This unit, huh? Well, at least that would allow me to move some infantry close up to Kursk. Let's put you up in there. Now, the supplies up here for the moment must be terrible. We still have a long way to go until that. So let's quickly take a look at the capture dates to see whether we're still, on track. We're about a month and a half in advance there, although the Germans did get over to Taganrog quite quickly. So with that being October the 17th, if I get there in September, I'll be a month early, but November, that's good. This is also October, so we're somewhat early, but of course the Russians did retreat quite a bit. Kharkov is also October, so we're standing to make quite a few bonus points there as well, of course. Basically, we're looking at the furthest extent of where the Germans got in, it's up here. Yostrebovko in the first year. Marmzy, Yelets is also the furthest. There's no way I can get all the way up there. It would be pretty decent digging in along that river, I'll give you that. And then up here along the Don. Holy smokes. Yeah, that'd be pretty decent. Then moving along here, and then doing something along those lines. But they're not just gonna allow me to waltz in through there. This is all a month further. So, actually surprised the Germans got Kursk so late. Yeah, and I'm certainly not trying to get to Tikvin now. Or to Bugodosh. Really no reason. The one concern though, like this is light woods. Maybe I'm better off actually just holding back here. Yeah. Even though this is level 1 fort level. This being a light woods means that I'm much better off trying to defend this way because these are all heavy woods. Seems to me to be much nicer. I'm gonna spend most of my AP now making additional fortifications from now onwards and no longer trying to beef up my generals, since I don't think that's going to be necessary at this point in time. Now I could try to push them back, but maybe it's better just to encircle this unit. See what they're gonna do. Kaluga will be empty. That much is certain. Let's just keep moving here, so that way. How far are you? Too far. I would need to move them into Roslavel, but I have no ways of getting supplies up and in there. The one thing that I think will be a great treasure as well is getting a rail line from here up Kharkov, Belgorod, taking this then up to Kursk and then moving its way up, but obviously that is not going to be easy. So, knowing that there's a unit in Kaluga, what to do, what to do. Moving a motorized unit in there certainly isn't my idea of fun, but I guess I could plug that gap. I'm also not that big a fan of now splitting that Panzer division. They're not super powerful, so it's no treat. But taking Novominsk, it does have 4 as well. Yeah. Wonder if I will get access to that airfield by moving in here. But let's just move up. I'll leave this hex, and that's basically where we're at currently. And because I'm not getting this hex, there must be a unit in here. Can still move up. I'm actually inclined to leave some of these panzers behind because they'll get a lot of, let's just say, battle points. So that they have a pretty hard punch, hopefully, on the next turn. Our line is also pretty straight at this point. I mean, I guess that's because the Soviets allowed me to do that. Yeah, let's see. Alright, I wanted to do the last few things for this turn, but I guess I'll be doing them off screen. Now, I did realize that my mouse scrolling, or the roller for my mouse to zoom in and out is kind of destroyed for whatever reason. So yeah, I'm gonna have to make do without that. Anyway, yeah, that's a bit weird. At any rate, now that we're doing this, you guys, I mean, they did give them some of these. I did say that I want to use one of the cores around here to make sure that my rail units actually do start taking care of things there. For now, I guess I'm going to use the 52nd, at least for a turn. But I actually want to put in this core, but I kind of need to move it over in that location. It's the 34th. I mean, I might be able to put these guys in the 34th already this way. Yeah, okay. This way, stay a lot closer. And yeah, the goal is to make sure they're staying in a lot closer area. Let's see, 34th. You can actually do it. Wow. Do we have? Yeah, there's still these two. It's probably too far for this turn. Right. That's okay. I'll continue doing this, and I'll put them basically around this area because I want to get a rail line further down into the Crimea, and I think this is going to be the way to do it instead of them having some useless things to do. So, I got the depot at Chaplino. That's kind of what I wanted for now. That's good. This armored division is now at Kurch. That's looking good. None of these units seem to be very movable for the moment. Don't want to move these. You can move because of the Kauri Corps, so that doesn't mean a thing. Now the depot is at Makshino. The one thing I think might be interesting to put this unit here. What sometimes happens is the enemy decides to abandon a city if you're right next to it. So that might work out. It's a bit weird. As for the motorized division, I'm gonna try and move around Orel, but I'm not so sure whether I want to move these guys for this turn. I'll just kind of leave them. I'm actually quite done with my movement altogether. And I'm not really sure whether I do want to move my units that much anymore. What I do want to do, however, is the following. So moving the motorized, and I'm moving the 251st. I only have the blue division there. Sure is not good enough. If I'm gonna install the 9th Army, meter time, I'm gonna need Wario. Kuno is not good enough. Evangaya is not good enough. Christian Hansen is actually pretty decent. Alright. Let's have Christian Hansen with that core make his way up and go to the... they'll go and form the 9th Army. Now, they can't get there all the way, but they don't need to do that this turn anyway, so it's not a big thing. You should be on 4, you should be on 3 at this point, so the supplies do go there, here and here. These supplies are okay. They are somewhat resting and refitting. Not entirely sure yet whether I should try to defeat them this turn or later. Yeah, let's move you up still. I'm gonna use a Romanian infantry division to go into Feodosia, Yalta, and Yevpatoria, and then I'll use another Romanian infantry division to hold Sevastopol if I actually take it. The same will apply for Genichesk, Osipenko, Mariupol, Taganrog. All those places will need to be manned. Odessa, probably too. So I'll just see how I'm gonna handle that. Yeah. All right. Then let's have another look down here. Yep, that's what I thought. We have at least a cavalry division. Or the 9th Romanian Cavalry Brigade, which can move up to the front. Moving him through here is an impossibility, because the rail seems to be in a dramatic situation. That's okay. We're working it out. Now, let's actually take a quick peek here. Western Europe, we have enough ground forces. Norway as well. Finland as well. Soviet Union garrison is not enough, interestingly. I don't really want to put the Stugs to the garrison. I want to transfer you to the map though, but it does mean I'll have to move something else to the map. Let's actually take a look at what the OKH has assigned. Maybe they have just something that... Oh, what? Oh. Seriously? Second Army? That's no good. Wow. Yeah. to put an army group center. Need those road construction battalions to be put on those corps as well. 35th Corps needs 4. Or do I have to get closer? I would. Well, they don't have to dig in yet, so it's not absolutely extremely essential. What is essential, though, is that units like this get it. Or at least the corps. So that's the 2nd Corps, and they are 100% definitely going to dig in there. Construction battalions. So if we take a look at the fortifications, we're currently not having any at the moment. They'll probably start digging in on the next turn. But what it does mean, I actually want to send them away from this corps, which is not going to dig in, and give them to the 2nd, because why wouldn't I? Because the 2nd Corps is going to dig in, and this corps is not. And the same rather applies for the 50th. I mean, I'm not saying that the 26th is already going to dig in, but why would I not give it to either of these soon anyway? So as for the 2nd Corps, I do hope that with 5 construction battalions, they should actually be able to start fortifying rather quickly. Now, I wonder if I can see the engineering. No, I cannot. Okay, that's fine. One thing that troubles me is I need to take these hexes. That's actually a bit problematic, as I have no unit that can go up there except for the motorized. I'm also not too hung up actually on that fortified zone, the placement that is. At any rate, tanks do a lot worse in the swamp, and I don't actually need to hold that swamp hex. In fact, I think I'd actually rather pull back behind the river. The thing also is that I would not like them getting into this position, because then they'll be able to attack these tanks from 3 different sides. If I move up, that would allow them to only get it from 2 sides. Another interesting thing would be to move in here with the tanks into the light woods and move those 2 infantry up in there. But then they'd still have 4 units with which to attack this. So I would still consider that to be quite an unfavorable position. So let's forget about that. Now, with that weather, I actually don't want to fly in that weather. So, as far as my freight goes, I cannot even ship it to Dnipropetrovsk at this point. neither can I send it here. Why would they claim it's from Galati? Yeah, the closest I can fly to at this stage is Alexandria, which is kind of completely without any danger, but it's also the least useful. Now, the situation here. You see, I actually feel I should probably cover this. That makes them rather weak for this turn, but at least it, you know, they can't really delve into that. I could give up Kubinka. There's no real reason to be in there, I think. Wow, they go back to 8? That is harsh. But I think it's a better position than staying exposed out there like that. Turginovo is a swamp hex, but I currently have no unit that can actually go in there, and I don't want to split up my units currently. But yeah, I have Totenkopf, but I actually rather keep them out here for now. I don't really feel like moving those guys up right now is going to be a good idea. At least not this turn. I mean, I'll have that rail worked up quite a lot further. Moving them through the rain right now. I can get them into Rzhev, get them to Volokolamsk, have them... Yeah, okay, sure. They're not too bad, actually, still, even now. And I'll put them on reserve. That probably doesn't really help because they're quite far from the front and they're only at 2. But, well, I guess it can't hurt, and Volokolamsk is still like an actual city. Alright, I do think I've taken care of everything. Let's ship it. Oh, there's actually no rain here. Is funny, but too bad, I guess. All right, let's see what the Soviets are gonna muster up. It certainly has been pretty interesting so far. Making pretty decent progress. If the weather permits, I'll be able to get across onto the Oskol quite nicely. Since the Oskol River is the ultimate goal, we still have quite a few turns left before we have to like really dig in. It really just depends on when you feel comfortable stopping and actually digging in. I know that the Oskol is a light river, and so it's probably going to freeze quite quickly. But I still think that I want to have more time taking more territory, and thus also retreat if I absolutely need to. During the winter, like, it will allow me to fall back towards the Dnieper, or not the Dnieper there, the Donets. In that case, for the winter, so that's a little bit of a fallback position. Of course, there will very likely not be that heavily defended areas. Like, there will not be that many fortified places there. And we'll still have to see about how bad the river is at that point. What I really find weird is that Kubinka is here already reverted back, even though there should not be a whole lot of reasons for it to be already moved back. One of the things that I was considering is whether I should put 3rd Panzer Army into a regular army again, so they start digging in better, instead of keeping it as an assault army, which just doesn't really dig in. Oh, okay. Huh. Well. Jeez. Okay. Well, that's never gonna happen. I actually have very little losses in most of these occasions. I find that somewhat surprising, actually. Okay, the Soviets are really starting to kick up some business over here. 815 is also not the most amazing, so the fact that they are attacking is not too surprising to just try that out. I would say that my defenses, well, except for this one, if they attack that, they'll probably retreat, are marginally solid. I mean, you can give up now if you want. These are still just indeed battalion level units, so that does make them a lot weaker, and them being a 1-5 now does make them somewhat weak. But I do feel like straightening up that line at Kubinka is probably... Oh. Wow. Okay, attacking the motorized across the river there. I mean, I felt marginally comfortable keeping on this side of the river. Obviously, they're quite weak. It's not as if I intended them to, you know, stick around there forever. Obviously, it's just until we can pretty much just move everything back up, or push these guys back across the Volga over here. Basically up further towards Vyshny Volochysk. It's still my hope to be able to get all the way up there. Digging in behind this river would be an excellent defensive position. So that is ultimately what I would be aiming for. I would be quite pleased to be getting that. Seems like at the very least their assaults are over, and my troops did hold valiantly during this time. So the Soviets at least had to bite the dust during this AI turn. Which is good. I mean, I expect the Germans to still be able to hold fast during this time here. Given the Soviet losses that they took, and given the time of the year, I don't want to say it shouldn't be too difficult to hold, but if you put your defenses relatively solid position, you should be fine. One thing I think is interesting here is that the Soviets are actually flying, and given that they are not actually taking a whole lot of losses from the weather being regular rain, I do feel that I should then be able to actually do that myself too. So it does not seem like I need to worry all that much about using my transport positions in the regular rain, which I'll take it to heart. I will. It'll be interesting to see whether they retreated there. The Russians. In case things might go actually sour, I would be inclined to give up this bulge. But the problem is that, well, these heavy woods are such good defensive terrain for the Soviets, and they still hold some of it. Like, I cannot break through this. Oh. Ah, no, I clicked. Now the game will act as if it's stuck. Getting through that terrain is probably so difficult, combined with the rivers, that if I give up these positions, I might never be able to get them ever again. I'm loath to give it up. That's just basically what it is. And yeah, I've already played this once before on challenging difficulty, but I just I don't know. I'm just super greedy. That's just generally how it is. Anyway, let's look at the events. We got Soviet partisans again. The USS Greer. I mean, we've already read this, but I'll just do it again. What? Soviet forces in the northern front. They have a shortage, not me. RAF raids begin 20 damage, radius 55, raids 1 to manpower. USS Greer on September 4th, 1941. The USS Greer becomes the first United States warship fired upon by a German U-boat in a war. Even though the US is a neutral power, tension heightens between the two nations as a result. The US is now committed to convoy duties between the Western Hemisphere and Europe. On September the 11th, Franklin D. Roosevelt orders the United States Navy to shoot on sight if any ship or convoy is threatened. Alright, let's just take a look at what the Soviets might have pulled off. I would say that's a poor choice of placement, but you know, all the more power to them. They didn't abandon it, unfortunately. Whatever, man. This is just garbage. Again, I really dislike stuff like this because it makes no sense. Seems like we can still push here at Zukhanishki. I'm actually not sure whether they put another cavalry in there. It is a bit confusing to me here. Also this, like, how did they even get this cavalry out there? It must have come from here. And then for it to be able to move that far, I just find it quite far-fetched. That's just me. They went from 0 to 1. That's actually pretty good. Huh. Still not sure whether I can see its engineering level. Guess I can't. It seems like at least these are quite a bit closer now. And I'll get more of those. Quite close. All right. I'm gonna end the video here, though. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider leaving a like, comment, or subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye.